wheels of commerce keep turning. That's what we're about. That's what we're about.
What area are you in now?
So I work in brands, so Next Brands. So it's interesting when I tell a lot of people that, people are like, oh yeah, Next sell brands, don't they? And I'm like, actually, it's probably a lot of what we sell at the moment.
You know,
so,
like 1,000.
Yeah. So within brands, and so I've got responsibility for the data and reporting within the department, as well as a few other activities. But it's essentially trying to give people information to make good quality decisions, look at how we can make things a bit more efficient as well. And so that's an area that's quite exciting and growing for us.
So you love data then?
Yeah. I think I'd say I do. Yeah. I do. Yeah. And I think I love articulating data. I think just telling the story behind what the numbers are saying. I think that's my bag. That's my bag.
Nice. But that's not why we're talking today, though, is it?
No.
So by day, data guru. By night and every other time, you are heavily involved with Unity.
Yeah.
So what's Unity at next?
So Unity is our sort of employee resource group. So it's like an employee-led community, if you like.
New phrase, isn't it? We're rolling out.
That's it. And it focuses on sort of our ethnic and cultural diversity within the business. So we've been on a journey. So it started about 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, and really just sort of trying to pull together a community around who we are as Next, how we relate to all the diversity we've got within the business. So there were like 3 key things that we were sort of looking at, our pillars, if you like, and very neatly they fall under the letter C, so our 3 C's, just to keep it simple for everyone. So one is champion, so championing certain things within the organization. So actually, are we intentional about diversity within the organization? How do we look at things like our recruitment, our training, and things like that? So that was one element. The other element was celebrate. So the fact that we've got so many different ethnicities, cultures, religions within the business. Actually, how do we celebrate that?
A bit like Black History Month.
Like exactly that. So you got it in there. And sort of taking advantage of those sort of days to be able to highlight certain things. And one of the things we've sort of found with that is that, I was saying to someone, you can literally go around the world within the organization because the person right next to you, is from a different culture, different ethnicity, etc. And so there's a lot we can learn and celebrate from all we've got around each other. And then the third C was connect. So this idea around that, again, people from, say, maybe the sort of the sort of ethnic communities, sort of discussing things that relate to them, experiences that they've had, providing a bit of a safe place to have conversations, to explore things, and within that is that educate as well. So there are lots of people who sort of don't understand or actually probably don't realize certain things as well, and it's like, how can we sort of connect with each other in that way? So I think that's the essence of what we're sort of trying to do. And when you think about just us as an organization, just how big we are, I think 50,000 plus employees, there's a lot of people there, and it's like, how do you encourage people to bring their best selves to work, really? And I think some of the disparities we have are because of where we've come from and not being understood, and how do we create an environment that sort of facilitates that for everyone?
Feels like the Connect one is, and more so, talking about what we're talking today, is probably really, really fundamental, isn't it? Like that education piece. And I guess as well, I know they all those C's are, but especially like letting people, trying to talk to people and, have an open discussion. Even just having a discussion could be quite a challenge within itself sometimes, I'm guessing.
Yeah, no, certainly. And I think especially when you get, talking about, say, matters that are maybe perceived to be quite controversial. So
Yeah.
that when you're talking about race and things like that, everyone sort of just shies away because it's like, well, I don't want to put my foot in it. I don't want to say something offensive, etc. And so we sometimes then miss out on the opportunities to understand, okay, well, actually that's how you guys, I say you guys, that's how, sort of people, then sort of, it's understanding people's backgrounds and understanding the drivers between certain things as well. So knowing that actually, because you may have a dominant culture and things happen in a certain way, that doesn't necessarily happen in the same way with others. And it's just about bringing that, bring people to a place where they can have those conversations and not feel like they're condescending or feel like they're putting their foot in it, but having it in a safe place.
Quite hard to do that, especially today, like in society today. For just in my opinion, and guess
cancel culture,
all that sort of thing, all of that kind of thing. Kind of to be open, both sides, or within the forum or whatever, for everyone to not be like, this person's genuinely just asking a question here. It's not a.
But I think some of it is also perception. So,
okay.
So
what do you mean by that?
So like, in terms of, because I think you'll be offended, I won't ask you. Whereas actually, I'm probably glad you'd sort of be asking me about, say, for example, my family background or, things like that. And actually, I'm quite interested that you're interested. Or I'm sort of, So I think there's that kind of things. And I think it's very easy to sort of work out where someone's coming from, and if they're coming from a genuine place, so like, okay, in terms of whether it's religion or whether it's cultural practices, so for example, some cultures you've got 3 generations living in the same household. To some cultures that doesn't happen, and so it's sort of then inquiring again, I guess, in terms of like, okay, how does it work for you? How does that work? And and that's something that some people hold dear to. So you're just coming along, sort of trying to get that understanding as well for that. African weddings are massive, huge.
Yeah. Good though, yeah.
Yeah, really good. Yeah. And so some people to understand that, how on earth can you have 400 guests at your wedding? But then actually there's that community feel. People are invited in, everyone chips in, and it's about, they talk about it. So it's just things like that, I guess, where we've got difference, and it's about sort of understanding those and celebrating those and that sort of thing. And then you get into sort of, say, for example, where I guess maybe there's a bit of a cross section, so like the champion and the connect. But say when you've got religious festivals, say like with Ramadan and people fast as well, and it's like, actually, how does that work into people's work timetables, and what accommodation can be made to facilitate for that and things like that. So it's about how do we get those sort of open conversations out there, and then sort of factor that into how we do things as a business as well, so that everyone, like I was saying earlier, everyone comes to work feeling freer and happier, and sort of know that, okay, I can be myself at work.
Yeah, and that's really important, isn't it? That like you've said a couple of times there, that everyone brings the best self to work, like every day, like they feel comfortable to. They don't feel like they have to hide any part of themselves, or they can't be themselves. And I guess that's kind of what you're trying to. You and the rest of the Unity Committee, and anyone else that wants to be a part of it as well.
That's it.
It is employee led. Guess that's what you're trying to really do with what Unity is.
Yeah. And it's interesting. So when we've done stuff as Unity, and people sort of saying, "Oh, it's great the company have put this on, and great that," and actually it's all employee led.
Yeah.
But probably, I say, also helped and facilitated by the business as a whole. So it is sort of people, giving up their time and their and putting in their input into really sort of wanting to make a difference.
And it's not just like your brand's team or anything like that either, is it? It's you're looking for anyone who's at
anyone
next.
Yeah, so one of my big things at the moment is for us to be representative of the company, especially in our steering committee, for example.
Okay.
If you think about sort of next as a company, we've got, the NDL, so the warehouses and the distribution centers. We've got the contact center. We've got head office. We've got outposts out in Sri Lanka now as well. So as a business, we're growing our diversity.
Retail, which is massive.
Retail, can't forget retail.
big
one, yeah.
Sorry, retail.
I was on a roll. But yeah, and one of my big things is that, if we can get to a place where you end up having different sort of hubs of activity, wherever you are within the business, so if there's a particular day coming up, Black History Month, for example, and you're saying, okay, right, what can we do within our store for Black History Month? Or, people sort of having their sort of, let's do a coffee morning, or let's do this, that actually it's employee-led. And, while there is a steering committee, that's really just to help facilitate things centrally.
Yeah.
But it's just trying to get that sort of word and that message out there. And I guess it does come with the challenges in terms of that it is employee-led, so people doing this in addition to their day jobs. But it's, I think, also about looking at the ways in which we can do things, little and often. It doesn't have to be big bang in order to make an impact. And it's, like we say, facilitating a little coffee morning or putting some posters up. One of our committee members, Victoria, she's a store manager.
Oh, brilliant!
And so she's in an area of Manchester which is really diverse, and so she's sort of come up with things in her store in terms of, say, like around some of the Jewish festivals, doing some colouring competitions for the kids as they come behind the counter, and things that just sort of, I guess, personalise things a bit more. And I think it's been interesting as we've been going as a group and having various conversations within, with various parts of the business about this. I think people are starting to feel a bit more empowered, really.
Oh, that's good. That's really good. That's positive.
To do stuff, and and I think, before sometimes there's a perception you can feel like Next is this big corporate giant, nameless, faceless kind of thing. But I think more and more, and certainly in our journey doing Unity, there's becoming a bit more of a personality towards things. So when we're looking at things, say, for example, right, we've got Diwali coming up, let's do some displays in the windows,
which is huge in Leicester.
Which is massive in Leicester. Massive. I think the biggest celebration of Diwali outside of India is in Leicester. Yeah. So it's things like, hey guys, we should do something. And then, and so like now there's a bit more of a, let's do something. Yeah. Whereas before, maybe not that people didn't want to, but there was just a tentativeness
of how do we do it.
How do we do it? Or we've got things set up in a certain way, etc. And so it's just looking at how we can break down some of these barriers or that sort of things. And it's interesting just how certain things are opened up to you. Say, for example, in my day job, when I'm pulling together a presentation and a deck. So, one of the things we've been doing, we've got Label Plus, which we try and market out to our different brands. And when I was putting the deck together for that, I was thinking, you intersperse it with some model shots and that sort of thing. But actually, I was thinking to myself, I can showcase diversity in the models that I choose to put on there, whether it's, in terms of the color of their skin or, age, size, etc., just in terms of that. And then actually I was then thinking about things like, is my presentation accessible? Have I put too many colors on here that someone who struggles with that would struggle to read and work through it? So actually being on this journey has opened my eyes to sort of a whole load of other things that actually, when you think about in your day-to-day operation, if you like, what are you doing? What influences are there that do make it accessible for everyone, and that showcases.
That's really interesting, actually, because you've not done that intentionally. You've not gone, I'm going to make this really inaccessible for people, or I'm going to put so many colours on so someone that has maybe got a hard time looking at colours. You've not done that intentionally, or I guess you've gone on this journey as well as unity going on this journey, and that's really helped personally as well.
Yeah. No, entirely. And I think it's just, it's a lot of it. One of the big things when we started the journey was trying to really push for things around sort of unconscious bias training and stuff. And it's that whole thing of, it's not that people don't want to, it's just that they're perhaps maybe not aware of it or don't sort of, think about it. So you can even think like, say, for example, take like with the studios and the photo shoots as well, yes, we've got a lot more variety of models in terms of, say, color and ethnicity. But it's also making sure that the support structure for that sort of is there as well. So, for example,
Right. Got you.
My hair's different. So, I need someone who understands my hair, and that sort of thing. So it's great. I'm on your show, but if you haven't got someone who understands my hair, I probably won't look as good as I could be unless we're. So it's those kind of
and that's not
nuances.
and that's not race either. That's a cultural thing, isn't it? Yeah, and I think that's where the lines sometimes get blurred.
It gets a bit,
It's not saying, "Oh, I need someone that has got my hair." It's a cultural thing. They get it.
Yes, someone who understands it and how to do it, etc. So it's just I mean that's just an example of some of the things where I guess maybe people face in their day-to-day kind of operations, which it's sort of like, oh, okay, actually, we then need to sort of, I guess, make allowance, make facilitation for some of these things as well. But even on that journey, we were talking about models. One of the things that I was just thinking about, like, I don't know if you remember, a few years ago, we had Emanuela De Paula.
Yes,
as
massive.
our sort of like
she was massive
sort of black supermodel, and at the time, not many other sort of retailers or whatever had that, and it was interesting for me because even having conversations with people of color, there was a real sense of like, okay, Next is, progressive in that way and sort of, and I don't think it was, because she was everywhere, you know what I mean? And it's things like that, I think, that just sort of show, show who we are as a company and things like that, which, if you look at even the stuff that we do around the business, people are looking, people are watching, and I think that sort of communicates to, to a subset of people. I was talking to someone the other day, and they were just sort of talking about, some of the content we've been putting out. Give you a little shout out.
the team as well. Not just me, the team. Otherwise, I won't hear the end of it. The team shout out.
The team. But just in terms of some of the feedback with some of the events we've put on and some of the content we've had and how that's had an impact to external people looking in. So someone was telling me about they had an interview and when you get to the question of around about what research have you done about the company, someone was remarking about the podcast we had on diversity with Cash and Lionel.
That we did a couple of months ago.
The two directors, and they were just sort of saying that actually changed their perception of Next, i.e. thinking that, okay, again, that nameless, faceless corporate kind of thing, but actually the discussion that, two very senior people in our business were having about real issues in terms of just how do we move diversity forward, etc. That made that person sort of like, oh, actually, Next is quite progressive. And
then they applied because of that? Or, it helped influence the decision?
Influence their decision in terms of wanting to be, go for the role, etc. So I was quite glad that feedback was shared, because that's the sort of thing that, you sort of realize, actually, we're making a bit of a difference here, and it's, just trying to push the door on some of these kind of different things. I know in the past we've talked about sort of what could it look like, and
now we're doing this.
Yes, I remember. You used to rove around with your
iPhone. There are other phones available, but it was an iPhone at the time. But it's definitely progressed a lot with the content that we're putting out there, and and it's not. The weird thing is, we're not showcasing anything that's not real either. It's all employees. It's all like we're both employees.
Yeah.
We're not actors. Definitely not actors. We're just showcasing and highlighting the things that are happening in the business to the world that might see Next as, like that person did, as a bit, stuck in their way from the 90s or whatever the perception might be, or they're just a high street retailer. I think, there's a lot more to uncover on this brand than people really know.
Yeah. No, definitely. And I think it's that whole thing of, I think, usually people ask the question, and we all do it, where you have that whole, I think the company should do this. They should do this about this. They should do that about that. And actually, our employee-led communities are really a way to be able to sort of make a difference on that. And that's really what's got me involved in certain things. I think there's a sense of, actually, we should be thinking more about diversity. And then you have a conversation with people, and they're like, oh, do you want to get involved in this? So there is, I think we're definitely not there. Definitely not.
No.
But I think I've seen enough, certainly in the last, sort of 2.5 years we've been on this journey, to sort of show that there is a trajectory, and, there is a journey. And I think where we feel a lot of people are maybe resistant to things or maybe not keen on things, actually they are. And it's just about how we work together to bring about those differences and bring about that change.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, James. I totally agree with you. It's there's not pushback or resistance. It's just, let's just do this the best possible way we can for everyone, and not just jump in and kind of say, oh, we're a diverse company either. Actually do the proper legwork first as well. I think that's, whether it's with Unity or Pride or Able or any of the community-led networks, it's really, really important that we've always done that. We've always got the grounding and the foundations in place, because we just don't want it to be an empty sort of promise.
Yeah, and I think for people to realise that they've got a say, they've got a way of getting involved. So, if you are asking yourself, they should do this about that, actually there is a way for you to be able to get your voice heard in that.
So for anyone that is, listening or watching or whatever it might be, how would someone who works at Next get involved?
Sort of quite a few ways, really.
Yeah.
I'd say probably the main one is that we've got our website, unity.co.next, and you can go on there, and there's a sign up form. So we've got essentially sort of 3 tiers of involvement. So we just want to gauge your involvement. There's some people who want to dive in, be super involved, and be an ambassador. And then there's some people who perhaps maybe just want to sort of keep tabs and just are interested in maybe the stuff we're putting out there and that sort of thing. So that's more of a supporter. So through the website, you can sort of state that, or, unity@next.co.uk, our email address. You can send a note through there, and there's, we're on a number of the sort of the company sites on there as well, and just to reach out, or I think on there as well there are a few individuals in terms of the steering committee. So there might be people you might know from an area of the business, or
that you want to reach out to first,
that you want to chat to, or I think it really is just reaching out, and then I think. Yeah, it's then sort of taking it from there. So,
no, I think that's really important, especially as we were joking about at the start. Trying to make them more community led. I think that's really, or like employee led committees.
Yeah.
I think that's really important because it empowers people like we want to, and also the business is prepared to back it. And if people are willing to, to come up with ideas and give the time, and we have loads of discussions, don't we? What about this? So Matt, do you think we'd ever do a podcast one day? Oh, I don't know, James, maybe we would, but maybe we might do. But like that was something that was already being thought of, and you had a similar, and it's just meshing it together and then really, really making it work. So it's really encouraging to see, and it's such an eye opener as well, being part of one of those communities or involved in multiple in some way as well. It's it shows you a different part of the brand.
Yeah, no, it does, and I think allows you almost to express a part of yourself as well,
Yeah,
that you
big time.
maybe sort of
And learn.
have it in
I've
100%.
learned loads.
Yeah.
I've learned loads. And I guess that's kind of why we do stuff around Black History Month as well, isn't it? It's not, we're not just focusing on it at that time of year because it is Black History Month. It's just a great opportunity.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, isn't it? I think with some of these events, it's taking advantage of the fact that it is, you know, a day that's been set aside, or a
celebration,
or a
or
month
a-
that's been set up. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like actually, I think for me, with a lot of our events, it's sort of like, what does it mean for next?
Yes.
You know, and what does that mean for us as individuals within the organization? So whether it's actually, I want to learn a bit more about, you know, the history behind certain things. So there, you know, loads of opportunities that I've had in my life that my parents didn't have, and loads of opportunities that my children have that I didn't have as well. And and I think there's something powerful about, you know, learning your and knowing your history that helps to inform, you know, the future. So, you know, Black History Month, you know, it's a great event for that. And I think, you know, it just highlights actually, you know, so say, for example, those who've gone in the past, some of the struggles they've had to sort of endure. But I think also it's a good opportunity to highlight some of the progress we're seeing.
Yeah,
so again,
definitely.
it's that whole thing of, not currently there when you sort of look at, you know, sort of representation wise and things like that. But there's, you know, there's a journey to it. And I think also it just highlights certain issues as well that, you know, people may not be sort of awoken to, that, you know, say, you know, in our lifetime, you know, certain people have been sort of precluded from certain opportunities, but actually that's no longer the case. And actually, what are the lessons that we can learn from that and make sure that, you know, it doesn't happen again? And how can we learn from that and make sure that we can encourage people who are otherwise sort of marginalized. And it's interesting. I think certainly in the time that we're living in, it's that whole thing of a lot of these things aren't necessarily intentional. It's just a byproduct of maybe the way certain decisions are made, et cetera, et cetera. So I think, yeah, Black History Month, you know, good month to be able to sort of, show the importance of that. And like I say, sort of what does it mean from a next
Really
perspective?
deep dive into it as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I think from that, you know, again, looking at our 3 C's, you know, the things to champion, you know, how do we connect? And then also how do we celebrate some of these successes as well?
You mentioned there as well around how there's opportunity. You, on a personal level, you've seen opportunities differ from your parents to you, to your kids. What are some of those opportunities that you'd say on a personal level?
Yeah, so I mean, like, on a personal level, so I'm Zimbabwean, and,
Yep.
you know, my parents grew up in sort of Rhodesia, as was then. So there's certain things that my parents experienced in terms of not being able to, you know, go into the city centre, or not being able to apply for certain jobs, or, you know, all sorts of sort of, you know, that whole racial segregation kind of thing. But post-independence, you know, that sort of opened up a whole world for say, you know, my generation, in terms of, you know, my parents were then able to sort of, you know, get really good jobs, you know, send us to good schools, you know, just even the things I'm exposed to. So the people I get to know are, you know, you get to see people who look like me, who are professionals in terms of, you know, lawyers, accountants, doctors, you know, so that increases your aspiration levels as an individual, in terms of, you know, what you then want to sort of do for your family going forward. And so, you know, you start to see some of those opportunities open up in a way that's different, say, from what my parents had, in terms of, you know, you look at, say, again, there's a journey to it as well, in terms of access to capital as well, in terms of, you know, being able to borrow money to invest in things, et cetera, et cetera. You start to sort of see a whole generation being able to do things that the previous generation had limitations in. So that's sort of opened up a lot, and even, you know, amongst a number of my colleagues from, you know, sort of ethnic minorities, it's interesting, we can share similar stories, you know.
Oh, really? There's common themes.
There's common themes. Yeah. And so it's just interesting in that way, and it's just about how then do we, how then do we unlock opportunities even further? Because, you know, when you then sort of look at the stats around sort of, you know, the number of people of color who run big organizations, you know, it's disproportionate to the number that are there, but it's sort of looking, you know, what opportunities have people had to be able to be educated, to be in touch with, and aspire to certain things, because actually within their localities, you know, they don't know anyone who's an astronaut or a physicist or a, you know, that sort of thing. So I think it's, yeah, there's a massive journey on things like that, but yeah.
And do you definitely see those opportunities like continuing to go in the right direction, especially for your kids as well? Like, is it open? Is it still there, or?
Yeah, there are still challenges.
Okay.
I think.
What
I think
are the challenges?
I think there's still challenges in the sense that, for example, that whole thing of, you know, so for example, if I look at, say, you know, what is normal. So if I look at my girls, you know, with their hair, a lot of their school friends, etc., have got different type of hair. So they sort of think, oh, because my hair's different from everyone else's, I'm not normal, or I need to aspire to what theirs looks like rather than celebrating what mine looks like. So I guess you got those, I guess, more intrinsic sort of value-based kind of, hey, actually, you know, so it's all about encouraging them, hey, celebrate who you are. It's okay to, you know, you're different, but you are not, you're not less than, I guess. And I guess it's some of those kinds of things. I think there are things maybe like, say, maybe in mentorship opportunities, you know, so again, a lot of my friends, you know, won't have a lot of friends who are of a different ethnicity to them. So in terms of being mentored, again, maybe, you know, I think there was some study around, you know, senior leaders sort of finding it difficult to mentor people from, junior people from, you know, different ethnicities, because again, maybe, you know, they don't want to put their foot in it, or they're not too sure how to approach it, or there's just a slight reticence, and you maybe then mentor people who look like you a bit more. Or
so it's that going back to that unconscious bias almost.
It goes back to that unconscious bias, you know, so there's things like that. And so, you know, so you're like, oh, what am I comfortable with? What am I not comfortable with? So there's, you know, there's tons and tons of those kinds of situations where you sort of feel like, oh, I need to be a different person in order to fit in. And, you know, it comes back to what we were saying about being your authentic self.
Yeah.
That actually, oh, I've got these ideas to share on this project, but because they're based on my experience, ooh, I don't know whether it will link in with everyone else's. So I'll maybe hold back a bit, because, you know, and it's things like that as well that you're sort of then up against in terms of
such a shame, isn't it, as well, that, you know, that's how sometimes people might think, because that could be like for next a groundbreaking idea. It could open a doorway to so many things. It could, you know, not just generate sales. It could make working life better. It could do so many different things, and that we don't want that. We don't want to. We never want to squash ideas.
No.
Never. And it's not anyone physically sitting there going, "You can't have an idea," but it's there, isn't it? And you just kind of, that's kind of what we want to get to, the point where everyone is comfortable to be like, I've got this idea because, you know, I got it from when I was growing up, and actually we could apply this.
Yeah. And if you think about, you know, if we're trying to think about our customer, you know, if we say we know our customer, but we don't have a diverse sort of pool of people who can inform our decisions, you know, in terms of what the customer wants and needs, then actually that's quite bad for business, you know, in that sense. So I think there is that, or even from, you know, talent as well, you know, and it's just, how we sort of do that, where people feel like, actually, I can be at Next for ages because, you know, I'm loved.
Like the candidate earlier, I'm definitely going to apply because, you know, it's obviously they're open to this. They're open to anyone coming. It's not, they're looking at that. They've not got their head down or their eyes closed or their back turned or any sort of metaphor you want to do. It's that's what we want, for people to start understanding that. Yeah.
And I think there's a phrase, you know, you can't be what you can't see, kind of thing. And so, you know, as human beings, I guess we all, you know, we're taking inspiration from things around us, and, you know, we to a certain extent end up being products of our environment as well. So, if you sort of can see someone who you can aspire to, and in a lot of the cases, if they look like you or have similar experience to you, that gives you that extra motivation and push, and you won't feel like, well, there's an opportunity for me, so I have to go elsewhere or do something else. So I think it's those kinds of themes, and it's just how as an organization, as big as us, how do we become more intentional about it, and how do we sort of facilitate that a lot more?
And we definitely will, and doing things like this and collaborating together across the business is one of the ways we're gonna do that.
100%.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But it's been great chatting with you, James.
No, the pleasure has all been mine, man. It's really good. It's great to see, what was a seed of an idea sort of a while ago, and they're like, hey, here we are.
Yeah, no. Likewise. So, thanks for coming on, and thanks for chatting.
Oh, brilliant. Thanks a lot.